Got a
understand that.
PhD dream?
How do you
Let's
reconcile
chat
like getting a
coursework,
PhD dream with
criticism, and
all
sheer
the
resilience.
stuff they have to go through, right? Because I'm sure it's not easy. I mean, it can be easier, right? It shouldn't be easy, I would think, right?
No, it's not.
How do you like prep them for like, hey, this is gonna, like for better term, it's gonna suck for you, and you have to make sacrifices,
Yeah,
personal life, professional life, social life, and all that kind of stuff.
absolutely. Thank you for asking. Nobody has asked me that question ever before, so I'm so glad I'm getting an opportunity to share some of my experiences. So here's the structure of the PhD program that I went through, and I understand business schools PhDs are similarly structured in most parts of the world. You go through what we call coursework for most likely 2 years, where you take courses in the foundational fields like statistics, economics, psychology, and whatever is your interest. And so economics, and we learn theories, we learn methods, how to do research, how to collect data, what are the dominant theories about different phenomena that are currently existing, what is the philosophy of science. So that takes about 2 years. During these 2 years, you are encouraged to think of some research domains that you're interested in. So keep your ears and eyes open, attend talks by good people who have published research, read research papers, and try to figure out what is a problem that you are excited about. What you see in literature, the literature has published, let's say, on a topic, for instance, are influencers useful or not useful for brands, right? Should we use influencers or not? If that topic excites you, read up all the literature on influencers and persuasion and see if there is enough contribution to make which nobody else has made. Then the last 2, 3, sometimes 4 years you take to do research, actual research you do. And part of it is your dissertation work. Part of it could be another project or two that you're working on your own or with some co-authors, could be with some faculty. And I think those are the 3, 4 years when the rubber starts hitting the road and you start developing, neurons start firing in a different way. You start understanding what the research method is, what the research process is. And that, I think, is a really, really grueling task because you realize that your ideas may or may not be exciting. You realize that your ideas are not as test-worthy, or even, your hypotheses are not going to hold. So it can be a pretty sobering time for many people. It can be a very humbling time for many people to realize that what they are thinking is not going to be fleshed out with the evidence, or what they are thinking, somebody else published it just 1 year into you being inquisitive about it, So, and then you attend conferences and you see thousands of papers being presented. So that, I think, is using your phrase, the real learning. That's when you are learning to put your coursework into practice and checking yourself out, holding yourself to higher and higher standards of research, integrity, data collection, methodology expertise, theoretical expertise. That's when it starts happening. And once you have done your PhD like Evie has, then your job becomes, you start publishing papers, you start teaching, and you start contributing to the mission of the university or the school that you're in. And that becomes an even more grueling task because now your papers are going to face the real test, the litmus test of being criticized by reviewers. And the reviewers, for the most part, are really smart people who will criticize anything that's bad in the paper. And that's the process you have to follow. So it is grueling. It is grueling. And it is certainly not for the weak-hearted. Recently, I read on some website that a PhD actually has mental health consequences. And I thought about it. I think there may be some traction to it. I hope for more evidence to appear, which will show that this initial study has, it's consequential. It means what it is right. So I can imagine you're lonely, you're doing your own thing, you're being criticized, you're being, constantly, in a manner of speaking, your work is being attacked. So you need to develop that muscle. And if you don't have the capability to do, I think everybody has the capability to develop that muscle, but some of us more, some of us less. But if you, become a little fazed by criticism, and it starts affecting your self-esteem, it starts affecting your self-belief in some cases. My first 2 years in the academic world after I graduated were hard because all my papers were rejected in the first 2, 3 years. And I started doubting my intellectual capabilities. I said, I'm not good enough. Serious self-belief and self-esteem issues. Then one of my really close friends and believers in me, who was my faith leader, he said to me, or she said to me, or they said to me that you dig in. don't give up, fight, dig in. And I use that guidance and encouragement, and then a whole new treasure trove opened for me. When I started publishing papers in good journals, I started believing in myself again. So yeah, there are some challenges that the PhD brings with you, and people should be aware of those challenges before they get in.
Is there a circumstance or situation where you should tell someone, okay, maybe this is not for you, right?
Yeah, so there are some, checkpoints during a PhD program. At the end of first year, second year, and third year, we have PhD assessment time. So each year they are subject to a certain evaluation.